basically, when you have a bucket this size, all you really need is that much of water. You know, right where the line is, like right there. This one. That's all the water you need, basically. So, yeah. When you have a lot of water, you guys are actually putting more plaster than water. So that actually wastes your plaster. So that's not good. Now, for this one, the second line that's above the other one, that one is basically used for, the burlap, the burlap layers. So when you guys are mixing plaster, make sure you guys keep on pouring plaster in until it forms like a huge island right here, and then you start mixing it. And then when it starts to, thicken up, when it starts to, have like a slushy consistency, that's when you stop. So yeah, well, I'm going to mix some plaster right now, and I'm going to apply it right where the front front sculpture. So yeah, this is the beginning of making the first half of the two-part mold. So yeah. Alright guys, as you can see, I started adding like around maybe 5 cups of plaster, and as you can see, forms like an island right there. And what you guys need to do is basically to mix it. And oh yeah, don't forget to wear gloves, because the plaster that I'm using right now, gypsum cement, what it actually does is that as it dries up, it actually heats up, and when it heats up, that basically means that it's hardening, and if you get the stuff in your hands while it's drying, it will hurt, it will itch, it will burn, it will sting. So make sure you guys use gloves. So yeah, when it gets to this point, basically mix it. Make sure there's no lumps and all that other stuff. Alright, as you guys can see, I'm mixing the plaster right now, and so once you're doing this, make sure you guys don't add too much plaster. Too much plaster will make it thick, and if you make it thick, it will dry like in an instant. As soon as it leaves the bucket. And if you guys make it too watery, add more plaster. So you guys gotta balance it out. And make sure when you guys are mixing it, make sure you don't leave any lumps. Make sure it's like at a smooth consistency. So once you're done, mixing it, it should have kind of like like a slurpy consistency kind of thing, kind of like this. So yeah, all this plaster would be, it would cover this whole thing up. And a huge tip, when you guys are mixing plaster and when you guys are about to pour the first layer, which is the detail coat, make sure you guys do it by handful. Don't pour the entire bucket in, because you can add too much weight to it and it will fall down. So make sure you guys, add handful by handful. And I warn you guys, it will get messy, so make sure you guys wear like a smock or something. And make sure you don't get some on the floor, because it will dry on the floor. So yeah. Alright guys, as you can see, this is the detail coat, and it's not dry yet, so it's a bit shiny. And if it does dry, it'll be rock solid. So when you guys are applying the detail coat, make sure every single area is covered. Make sure every area is covered with plaster. So don't leave any bubbles, because bubbles can ruin the cast. So if you guys see a bubble, make sure you guys pop it. And also keep in mind that when you're applying this stuff to your sculpture, make sure you guys are checking if the clay walls aren't collapsing, because what the clay walls tend to do is, if there's too much weight, it will actually, slowly, fall apart without you noticing, and at the last second, it will, quickly collapse. So, And what's cool about the detail layer is that once this part is done, like once it's all dry and rock solid, if your walls do somehow, collapse, it wouldn't really matter. At least you got your detail coat done. So yeah, also make sure that if you guys are done with this, don't take out, the clay, the clay walls and the containing walls. Don't take that out just yet. And if it does, like break and crack up, if it dries up, make sure you guys don't take it out. If it falls apart, then try to put it back together. So yeah, make sure you guys cover every single area. No, don't leave out any holes. So yeah, this should dry in like about, I don't know, 45 minutes maybe. And so that's the detail coat of the first half of the two-part mold, and I'll continue this tomorrow since it's getting late already, so yeah. Okay, this is day 9 from the tutorial video, and as you guys can see, the detail coat for the first half of the two-part mold is done. It's rock solid, what else? As you can see, when you guys start on your detail coat, it's okay if you guys, stop right there, and then, a few hours later you can start back in the actual mold itself. Because what I actually did last night was, I worked on the detail coat, and then, I basically took a sleep. I took a nap, and then I ended up sleeping the whole entire night. So now I just woke up, it's starting to crack a bit right there. So if you see cracks, start working on the mold itself immediately. Don't let it sit around in the sunlight so that the containing walls and dividing walls can crack and usually collapse and break. So the next step that we're gonna do right now is basically the burlap step. And what you guys are gonna do is, once again, you guys are gonna mix up some plaster. This time, make the water level so that it's a bit higher than the other one. And once you guys mix that up, you guys are gonna take some cutted burlap strips, like into squares or rectangles. You can dip it in, and then once it's soaked, do not drain it. If it's soaked up and if it's dripping, put it on the actual mold itself, and then start pressing down. Don't smear off the plaster, because it will actually ruin the strength of the burlap. So once again, you guys are gonna dip it. You're not gonna drain it. If it's dripping, let it drip, right? And then you're gonna spread it all around, and you guys gotta make it 2 layers, or you can make it 3. It doesn't matter, but I do 2. So we're gonna do 2 layers of burlap soaked with plaster here, and yeah. So alright guys, I just mixed some plaster, and when you guys are mixing plaster, I forgot to tell you guys, make sure you guys use cold water. If you guys use warm water, it's actually going to speed up the process of the plaster drying. So you don't want that. And what else? As you can see, the plaster that I'm mixing right now, it's actually double the amount as it was last time. And the reason why is because when I'm making the 2 layers of burlap soaked in with plaster and the final coat of the mold, what I actually do is I build up a lot of plaster, and then at once, I'm gonna do the two burlap soaked with plaster, and then the final coat. So yeah, I'm actually gonna do those 3 at once at the same time. So yeah, that's why I mixed a lot of plaster, as you can see right here. So yeah, when you guys are mixing plaster, make sure you guys make it so that there's no lumps, and make sure you guys make it so that it's in like a slushy consistency, like that. Alright, so what I mean by not draining the burlap, this is what I mean. So basically, you're gonna take your burlap and you're going to dip